Hi, my name is Stacy, and I'm excited to share with you a special project that we've been working on for about a year now. What we've done is we've taken content from both of Keith Ferrazzi's best-selling books, Never Eat Alone and Who's Got Your Back, and created a curriculum specialized for kids in the foster care system or those that are just in the inner cities that struggle with relationship building skills. And we've been able to try it out at Citrus College at a group there that's called Foster to Famous. And this group consists of students that have recently aged out of the foster care system and are pursuing a college degree. And the first step to being able to reach out to kids like this and be effective in this kind of setting is that you have to be vulnerable on your end. I recommend telling your story, sharing what you struggle with as far as relationships have gone in your life, and that's what I was able to do, and we had a great time. So hopefully you enjoy the footage. We're all here because we want to be successful, right? You wouldn't be in school if you didn't have a desire, some type of desire to be successful. No matter what field or what profession or what you have planned for your future, you desire to be successful. You desire to create a life that you can be proud of, right? Am I the only one? No, we're all here for that, And so what I wanted to share is that by just like you, I have goals and I have hopes of becoming successful in life. And no matter what industry you're trying to break into, no matter what profession you see yourself in, relationships are vital. Even not only are they important for your professional life, but for your overall well-being, for a sense of your sense of happiness. Research has shown that your sense of happiness and your sense of overall well-being is dictated in large part by the support and guidance and love we get from the community we build for ourselves. Have you ever thought about that? Like, what kind of community am I building for myself? I know that might sound weird, but have you ever sat down and thought about that? If we could only just think that way and begin to see relationships like that and be intentional about building a community that's going to help us achieve our goals, there's no limit to where. Do you struggle with maybe a fear of rejection? Is trusting others and understanding people's motives hard for you? What other barriers do you think affect building healthy relationships or connecting with people? Anybody? Something that might get in the way? You had something. I know you had something.
I just lost it.
You lost it. It may not be personally for you, but what do you think are some things that get in the way of building healthy relationships or connecting with other people? Pride. Trust issues. Last one. Anybody? Self-awareness, so like low self-esteem type of thing? Okay.
We project on others sometimes on how we feel or how we want to portray ourselves.
Yeah, that's so true. Our own insecurities can get in the way of us being able to really connect with someone and we're going to talk a little bit more about that as we go on, as far as being vulnerable, and being able to let down your guard, And so those were all good answers. I put here that these are all real barriers. Everything that you said are real barriers that everybody deals with, maybe some more than others. And me and Christine we discussed those types of things, especially growing up in the foster care system. You may face other barriers that other people don't, some things might not, you've been through things that other people I grew up in a pretty good family up until about 5th grade when my dad started using drugs, and he got addicted to cocaine and a little bit of heroin and things like that, and just our whole family just turned upside down. We went from having a steady family to just everything upside down. He went to prison for armed robbery for 6 years, and he was gone basically the whole time I was in junior high and high school. And so because of that, my mom was left to raise all 4 of us by herself, and of course it wasn't easy. She was a young mom herself. She had my older sister when she was 15 years old. And so she didn't have an education. She had a junior high education and trying to support us on, whatever job she could find. So it wasn't, the way I see it is that affected my ability to connect and to build relationships, because I grew up with more of an independent type of, like, I gotta do this, I gotta make things happen, I gotta take care of my family. Like, I had that like, I gotta do it, you know. And there's a good side to that, but then there's another side to it that where it can isolate you from trusting other people, you know. And even, like I said, as far as my dad struggling with drugs and then alcoholism later on in life, he stopped using drugs, but he still struggled with alcohol all the way until he passed away 3 years ago. And it was like on and off, do good, mess up, you know. He kept going back and forth. So for me, that broke down my ability to trust in him and in other people of, you know, elders or whatever, authority, because it was just like, I'm not gonna get my hopes up anymore. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna get my hopes up anymore. I'm not gonna expect more than what and expect too much from people, you know. And that carried in to my adult years. I kind of carried that with me, and that independent, and like, I'm not gonna trust you, and I'm gonna do it on my own, and I'm, you know. And it might be hard. Like I said, one of the questions was like, is it hard for you to ask for help? You know, sometimes it is, and I know that was for me. You know, it took me a long time, and I'm still learning that by closing up and not taking risks, and reaching out to people has limited my life and actually has caused me to miss out on opportunities. And maybe that's the case with you. You know, maybe it is, maybe it's not. But for me, I see that now, that by me closing up and me pushing people away, it only hurt me in the long run, you know, as far as the opportunities available to me. And so this talk that I'm doing with you guys is not about networking. It's not about, you know, going out and shaking a bunch of people's hands and hey, you know, like, and trying to make all these cool, you know, make yourself something that you're not. It's not about networking. It's about connecting. Intimacy that leads to vulnerability. There's a natural human desire to be a part of something. Do you guys agree? Right? There's either whether it's a family, if it's a unit, if it's a group, or as Keith describes in one of the books, he calls it a tribe. You know, there's a desire for people to be a part of a tribe. It's basically a desire to be accepted and to be welcomed, you know. And this desire is what makes groups like Foster to Famous so great, you know, because this is a place that it's consistently available to you to help you create a community here on campus, right? There's something that binds you together. There's obviously a common factor of either being involved in foster care or knowing, or I think everybody here pretty much has had an experience in foster care, but that binds you together automatically. I would like to challenge you to take it deeper than just coming to group, but taking it deeper and practice more vulnerability. You know, vulnerability, this means letting your guards down so that mutual understanding can occur. Take your existing levels, whether it's in this group, your friendships, your family, your connections, whoever you're connected with outside of this group, try and take them to a deeper level of vulnerability. You want to know how to get more vulnerable with people is by cultivating a safe place where everyone feels free to take risks, where giving and receiving criticism is comfortable, knowing that it's coming from a good place, a caring place. You know, like, I know I hear it here. You guys are pretty straight out with each other, and that's healthy. You know, like, hey, well, if you can't do it, then you can't do it. You know, like that kind of. I mean, that's not a lot of people are like that, and that's good, because I think for the most part you've been through stuff, and you're just like, I just want to be real. You know what I mean? Don't beat around the bush with me. Don't sugarcoat things. Just tell me straight up. Understanding of vulnerability. Vulnerability doesn't mean that you're weak or that, and it's not something that you should hide from people, but it's actually something healthy that can only make your relationships better and deeper.
How could you know, anybody in general, how could they take that as that word and change it? It's kind of like somebody saying you need to go to therapy. People have a bad way of therapy, and then if they misunderstand it. So
Okay.
how do, for former foster youth or current foster youth, how do they, or even supporters, how do they take it and understand that in a successful way and not feel it's a bad thing, it's a negative?
Yeah. Vulnerability also is connected with authenticity. You know what I mean? Being real. Being real. When you're vulnerable, you're real. You're not hiding who you are or what you've been through. You're not, and like even what you guys were talking about earlier about telling your story. You know, that's part of being vulnerable. Like, you know, it takes courage to be vulnerable. You know what I mean? To let somebody know, like, this is who I really am. You know, when you share something with someone, you're honest with them, not because you're trying to hurt their feelings, but because you truly care about their success. You know, and I put here, each of us is responsible for creating a safe place around us. It is a conscious choice that that we make. It's a conscious choice that we make to create an environment that invites other people in. This can be risky, it takes courage, but it's worth it in the long run to see your goals come to pass. Authenticity is knowing who you are and not trying to come across as someone you're not. It's the art of getting real. You know, it's just being real, being able to share your failures, share your successes. We're talking about taking your story and turning it into something that inspires. You know, you've overcame something, you've overcame challenges, you've come through some things that maybe others haven't experienced, and that puts you at an advantage, because it's I mean, I think you guys can agree that you wouldn't be who you are today if you hadn't gone through what you went through, right? And so it's learning how to tell that story in an empowering way that actually inspires people. What happens when you share your fears or you share your past experiences and you open up and you be vulnerable with someone, you know what actually happens is it opens up the door for them to be vulnerable with you. It opens up the door for them to feel comfortable and feel safe to share things about themselves, and that only takes that relationship to a deeper level of intimacy. And what happens is when you create that type of intimacy, that person's more willing to help you, right? And you're actually more willing to help them. You know, it's a two-way street. It's like you want to look for opportunities. How can I help this person with their goals, with their dreams, with their plans for their future? And hopefully that's what comes your way as well. Talking about, think about that. Who's in my life right now that I can connect with on a deeper level that can help me reach my goals? Where are the places I can go to meet the kind of people who could most impact my life? You know, like putting yourself around people who you admire, that you look up to, that you see, man, that's where I want to be in a couple years. Put yourself around them and reach out to them. Your potential for connecting at this very moment is far bigger than you realize. All around you are golden opportunities to develop relationships with people you know, who know people you don't know, who know more people. You know what I mean? It's about growing your community. It's about growing. The purpose of these sessions and the reason why we've created this curriculum is that we want to encourage young people to build those relationships, whether it be personal relationships, professional relationships, that are going to lead them into success. And we understand that there are barriers that stop them from reaching out to those that are more than willing to help in their communities, in their schools, in their churches. And we want to see them overcome those barriers and be able to live more authentic, vulnerable, and successful lives. So if you'd like more information on these types of sessions that we're going to be doing in different locations, make sure you check out Ferrazzi.com.